Imagine this. You're in the Himalayas on a pretty normal monsoon day. Sure, the clouds are heavy, the air's thick, but it's nothing you haven't seen before. And then, in a blink, the sky doesn't just rain, it falls. The entire world just turns into this torrent of water, mud, and rock. Today, we're breaking down one of nature's most sudden and frankly most terrifying phenomena, the cloudburst. Just listen to those words. That's a chilling, first-hand account from someone who survived a devastating cloudburst in Kishtwar. It's such a raw, human perspective on an event that feels almost mythological in its power. It's a brutal reminder that for the people on the ground, this isn't just some weather event. It's a catastrophe that literally explodes out of a clear sky.
Okay, let's dive into this. That story from Kishtwar, it's not a one-off, not even close. It's actually part of a really frightening pattern of destruction that is scarring the entire Himalayan region. We really need to grasp the sheer scale of what's happening here. Get this number, 36. That's how many cloudbursts hit just one state, Himachal Pradesh, in a single monsoon season. And, that number is just the tip of the iceberg. It happened alongside 74 flash floods and dozens of landslides. It just paints a picture of a region under this relentless assault from the sky. And the damage is it's everywhere. We're talking more than 2,000 crore rupees in losses just in Himachal, whole towns completely swept away in Uttarakhand. That single event in Kishtwar, at least 60 people lost their lives. Roads, homes, even ancient temples are just being buried under mud and slush. This is a full-blown Himalayan crisis. So that brings us to the absolute core question of this explainer. How is this even possible? What in the world is happening up in the atmosphere that can create a downpour so intense it can literally move mountains and erase villages from the map in just a matter of minutes? All right, let's break down the science behind this. Because to really understand the threat, we first have to understand the mechanics of the weapon itself. So what officially is a cloudburst? So here's the official meteorological definition. A cloudburst is when a staggering 100 millimeters of rain, that's 10 whole centimeters, gets dumped over a small area in just 1 hour. The ground has absolutely no chance to absorb that much water that quickly. And the result is an almost instantaneous violent flood. To make that a little easier to picture, think of it like this. It's not a steady rain. It's a sudden, catastrophic failure. It's like the cloud is a giant water balloon that's been overfilled right to the breaking point. Or maybe like a pressure cooker full of water vapor where the lid just suddenly blows off. That's the kind of intense, explosive energy we're talking about. So let's walk through how this happens. It all starts with the mountains themselves. First, you have warm, moist air that gets pushed rapidly up the slope of a mountain. As it rises, it cools fast, and all that moisture condenses into a massive vertical cloud. Then, the cloud gets super saturated with water, but, and here's the key, powerful updrafts of air basically act like a cage, holding all that water in place. And finally, the structure just can't take the weight anymore. It collapses, and the entire volume of water gets dumped all at once. Boom. Okay, so we know what a cloudburst is, but the next and maybe the most important question is, why are we seeing so many of them now? Is this just a natural disaster, or is there something else going on? And this is where it gets really complicated. Experts are pointing to this dangerous cocktail of two major factors. On one hand, you've got local human intervention, things like reckless construction, cutting into fragile slopes for new roads, and deforestation, all of which make the land way more unstable. And on the other hand, you've got the huge global driver of climate change. Warmer seas mean more moisture in the air, and warmer air can hold more of that moisture, which basically supercharges the entire system. This quote from environmentalist O.P. Beretta just hits the nail on the head. He says the Himalayas are an ecologically sensitive area, and these huge infrastructure projects, when they're not done carefully, are actually causing more harm than good, making these vulnerable slopes even more dangerous. So this combination of factors is creating a new and really dangerous reality. We understand the what, and we're starting to get the why, but what does this all mean for the future? I mean, can we even see these things coming? And here's the really frightening part. Predicting them is incredibly difficult. Cloudbursts are super localized. We're talking they can happen over just a few square kilometers. To spot them, you need this dense, very expensive network of Doppler radars. And the hard truth is, most of these vulnerable regions in the hills just don't have that system yet. That's why you hear eyewitnesses say over and over again that it came with absolutely no warning. The scientific consensus on this is crystal clear, and it's pretty sobering. This isn't some freak series of events. It's a trend. As our planet keeps warming, these extreme weather events, these explosions in the sky, they're expected to become even more frequent and even more intense. What we're seeing now, it might just be the beginning. Which really leaves us with this final critical question. This isn't just about weather forecasting anymore. This is about survival. Knowing that these events are escalating, how do we protect the millions of people who live in the shadow of these mountains? How do communities and governments adapt to a future where the sky itself can literally explode?